Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. I'm Diastripa. I'm joined by Rudude. We're going to break down what you saw in Game 1 before we pop into our Game 2, as both the teams are setting up right now. That was a really heavy-hitting game. We had a lot of very convincing team fights happening. But I'm wondering, draft is kind of the first thing that we see when we're loading into a game, and I think it's something that kind of sets the theme. So, if you don't mind, Rudude, I'd like you to break down the draft for us and see what it is in that you think contributed to the victory.
Yeah, of course. So FSU, first of all, they obviously didn't win that first game, and we'll talk a little bit about why here. With the fact that when they built their draft, they picked up essentially 3 super strong champions in their respective roles. So Ashe, Graves, and also Karthus. I think everybody's sleeping on Karthus since the buffs. If people aren't picking him up, then I'm going to be really surprised, and I really want to see Karthus get picked up by anybody and everybody that can. He got buffs to his move speed, HP, QAP ratio, base damage as well. It really strong champion in general, but I want to talk about the fact that their team just sort of lacks an identity, because Mitt touched on it while he was casting. It was a perfect point that Karthus wants to team fight, Shen wants to split push, Graves wants to skirmish, and this bot lane needs to get items before they're great at team fighting themselves. So the team overall just kind of lacked an identity as to how they wanted to play out the game. And then if we look over FGCU, 3 topside skirmishers that were more than happy to get involved. Galio's hero's entrance on top of that made it super easy for them to force a fight and just slam through FSU. And that's my analysis, particularly of this draft part. And I wonder what you want to see going ahead here.
Well, I think as we move into Game 2, I am really excited to see how the losing team adapts. I think FGCU did get out microed a lot, especially in top lane. I felt like was a huge contributor to the rest of the map, being able to spread his advantage so well. And so, to address that, I feel like you have 2 options, and that's that you can either play through top and try and negate that, or you can take it all the way to the other side of the lane, or all the way to the other side of the map, and draft neutralizing lanes. And I think that based on what we've seen so far, I think that's a safer play. What I'd like to see is, especially in draft, saving a counterpick for support, locking in an early, really powerful AD carry. I agree that Ashe was really good, but maybe, especially last game, something like an Aphelios is up, picking something like that, I think speaks more to me, and drafting almost the same composition as last time, but in a let's pile on and protect this bot lane. That way you can neutralize everywhere else and show up when it's important, because we saw them grouping around team fights we saw them grouping around objectives that were really important, and they have the timings down. They just need to be enabled in that way. Let's see. I want to ask you, what kind of lanes are you going to be looking at, given that, in Game 2?
Yeah, of course. So I think you touched on it there, that the top lane really was a one-sided affair. The second that solo kill came through for Pain up on the top side, he immediately transferred that solo kill into a teleport down to the Drake, and that got his team so far ahead. At that point in the game, it was one kill to 0 in the favor of Garnet. Then the solo kill came through, Pain TP'd down bot, they got the Drake, they got a couple of kills there as well, and since that point it was swung entirely in their favor. So keep looking at this top lane for the top matchup, particularly to see if Pain can take it to Doran again in this second game.
Absolutely, and well, we're looking at top, and I'm hoping that we never cut to there. I want to see what happens in the bot lane, and if we can start prioritizing that. To see what happens, let's pop into the pro draft, and I'll throw it over to the casters to take us through that. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you very much, both Rudude as well as Diatrope. You guys were absolutely fantastic. We are setting up myself, Jake Kelton, and Mitt for our game number 2. Pro draft already getting started by FSU. They are on the blue side this game, as every game teams will swap sides to keep it competitively fair. So now the FGCU have the opportunity to counterpick the very last pick of a pro draft. Maybe that will be the key to finding success in this second game. I really want to see if they allow Pupcake's Galio through in game number 2. We've already sped through most of the bans, and it's the Ashe that's actually taken out. So they have not banned away the Galio. They've not banned away the Misfortune. FGCU, I'm not exactly positive that this was the best strategy.
Yeah, that last draft, not super great, but things can change. Ooh, I love it already. Aphelios, good. Galio, okay. I'm already liking what
Ooh.
I'm seeing.
So they stole away the Galio, betting that the FSU was not going to first pick it because they usually would want to pick it on the second pick when they get two options to grab the Misfortune and the Galio if they wanted to run it back and do the same thing they did similar in game number 1. So FGCU steal away the Galio and grab the Aphelios as well. That's a strong bottom lane.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Aphelios is already saying we want to team fight, right? First picking an Aphelios, you're putting so much power there. Ooh, and Jinx are answering with another strong teamfight champion. So perhaps we're going to see 2 really strong teamfight compositions going to head-to-head here on the Rift. We are on the course to seeing that happen, and I would really like to see more equal footing in terms of these drafts. So FGCU, in the mid lane, I would love to see a control mage. In the top lane, I would love to see a tank. And in the mid lane, or in the jungle, I would like to see something that can get, early skirmishing, early control priority so that you don't completely fall behind. It's going to be Jinx Bard bot lane for FSU.
Yeah, this is a Jinx Bard bot lane. All right, first of all, I honestly can't say that I have seen Jinx in a very long time. Now, I don't play as much as I used to because I'm mostly casting games for XLNC, and I watch a lot of competitive games, but Jinx is not what I consider to be a top priority when it comes to ADCs. There are just so many options that you could find, but they want to have this kind of steamballing bot lane in which you get the Jinx who gets a kill, she gets the quickness, she goes for another kill and another kill, you repeat it, and you have the roaming Bard as well. The concern is if Bard goes to roam, Jinx is not a good solo laner. She is not good all by herself, and there's the opportunity for Galio to find her with the Justice Punch and Taunt, just like we saw Purple Cake have in game number 1. FGCU could do against FSU in this game number 2. We'll see if they can pull that off, but FSU has grabbed the strong Volibear. We're into the second ban phase. FGCU grabs the Graves as well, so a lot of the champions that FSU won with in game 1, the Thunderbirds are saying, okay, we'll just take all those for ourselves in game 2.
Yeah, I also like that FGCU is banning away the Kled. They're like, we don't want to see pain on Kled. That was super obnoxious. We're not going to do it. But at the same time, FSU is like, all right, we're going to ban the Shen away because we know you like to play that, and we don't want to play against a really annoying top laner. And then Kiana's going to get banned as well. Okay, I'm looking at what these two teams are trying to do, and FGCU, they really seem to like that Graves, right? I probably would have liked to see maybe a Sejuani in the jungle. Maybe a Trundle, something with a little bit more CC, something that matches a little better into the Volibear. But they really seem dead set on that Graves. So now they're starting to split the composition a little bit. Now they need a mid laner that can skirmish, but can also team fight. There's a few that can fill that role, and it's going to be interesting to see what exactly they choose. I'm hoping for something like a Orianna, maybe a Syndra, maybe
Talia is still available.
Talia as well. Yorick. Okay.
Yeah, so the Yorick, super strong top laner, really beefy and just good at split pushing. He's not the greatest in team fights. He's only got one small trap to kind of try to snare up the enemy team. So we'll see where it is. They've obviously left their last possible pick for this mid lane to give Rabadon the best chance that he can have to be able to find success there. They did have that Karthus in the last game that did okay in the early game, and then late game ended up just giving so many of those Requiems to the Sylas. It kind of ended up hurting them more than helping them because they kind of just said, hey, enemy team, you get free Requiems anytime you want them, and not exactly what you want. So we'll see what they decide to grab, as it's still the Echo for the Thunderbirds. What are they going to get as their last possible pick? It is the Talia Hubbard. Are we going to get the Rock Surfer in? It is. If you watch Avatar, Toph has joined the game.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what Oranuka does on this Talia. Is it Oranuka or Oranuke? I'm doing like the...
I call him just Oranuke because he nukes people because he does so much damage, but it's more likely it's Oranuke. Twisted Fate hovered. Look at the roam ability if they grab the Twisted Fate and the Galio. That is so strong, being able to multi-man jump to these side lanes and join team fights, and they are going to go with that strong roam ability for FGCU.
So I like the TF, I like the Graves, I like the Galio. I feel like that's some pretty good synergy. York also pretty good. But so both of these team comps are strong except for the AD carries, right? So I feel like this is going to be one of those games where the AD carries feel pretty useless and the rest of the map is just popping off 24/7. So Jinx and Phyllis are both relatively squishy immobile AD carries, which require a really strong front line. And on the side of FGCU, really that's only going to be Galio. So there's going to be a lot of pressure here on Sheeta, on that Galio, to defend the Aphelios. On the flip side, the only real tank for Jinx, for Grizzlestick, is Volibear, which is going to be Jaster probably picking up that role. So they only really have one, like, frontlining tank for these hyperscaling AD carries. So they're kind of exposed to the Graves, the Twisted Fate, the potential like dive ability that these champions have, or just the pure fight that they have. And then Aphelios is of course going to be vulnerable to the Tilly and the Echo. So there's not a whole lot of CC to lock down these champions from getting on top of them. So it looks like 2 skirmish compositions, but with different AD carries. You know, that's why you like to see things like the Ezreal. Of course, it's banned in this matchup in particular, but perhaps you pick skirmishing AD carries if you're going to go for a more skirmishing comp, like a Lucian or a Caitlyn, something that's a little more self-sufficient, a Tristana. Things like that could be a little more self-sufficient, not so reliant on team lockdown to deal with the bulk of their damage, and don't need the babysitting that a Jinx and an Aphelios need.
Now, to be fair, it is something that for the side of FSU, they said, hey, we won game 1. We have a game that we can be a little bit more playful in because we know that if we absolutely have to, we do have a game 3 that we may have to burn through to win the entire series. So it's not too shocking that they would go with a little bit more of what seems to be a for fun, heavy damage outputting team composition with that Jinx. But as you said, it could turn on and bite them, Tomas, in this bottom lane with the Aphelios. He may have 200 years of experience. We'll see if he can become the president of this game number 2, being able to just tear through people with that Infernum, especially with how many members of FSU are short range. You look at the Talia and the Jinx, even Echo, they're not this huge, as you mentioned with the Caitlyn, long range poke, right? Well, Aphelios with Infernum, all he has to do is get close enough with that and his ultimate, and he can just wipe through an enemy composition that is grouped together.
Now, I do want to make a few notes that I'm not sure if these patch changes went through or if they're still in the works, but there is at least plans for Aphelios' Infernum to get some pretty hefty nerfs, the Infernum in particular. Runin's Hurricane is going to lose some procs. His crits are going to lose some Infernum procs. So he's going to lose a little bit of that AoE damage. All in all, I think it's a warranted nerf for Aphelios, but it is going to be pretty significant. But he's not going to be completely just bulldozing these team fights like he used to with Infernum. But I don't know if those patches have gone through or if they're in the next patch.
We are getting updated by our beautiful analyst desk as well as stat team combined together that those are not live changes yet. So Aphelios can still cook up a nice barbecue with the members of FSU. And now that we are launching into the spectator delay, we're going to take a look at both compositions as a whole. We don't need to run down the players because they're the same players as last game, just swapping sides. It's more about the compositions of the team as a whole. FSU with the Volibear in the top lane. So he's definitely not jungle, clearly. Just going to be trying to kind of split push up against that Yorick. I don't think that he'll be able to find too many kills unless he gets snowballing and helped out by an early Echo. But kind of like we saw last game between the Echo and Graves, same players, same champions, mostly going to be farming until they hit those later levels and those later ultimates. It's going to be different, though, on the sides of the map, whether or not Ronaldo, instead of focusing those early Drakes, instead tries to focus those Rift Heralds instead.
Yeah, I mean, I want to look again at the top line. I do give the edge to York because the Maiden does percent HP damage, and Volibear has a tendency to build a lot of HP. So I feel like in just straight up 1v1, Doran is going to have the advantage on that York. But moving back into the jungle, we've got Graves versus Echo, both skirmishing champions. Echo requires a little bit more snowball, while Graves can, safely farm away. And then we want to look at the 2v2 jungle mid matchup. So we got Talia and Echo versus Twisted Fate Graves. Both of them kind of fulfill the same roles, Talia and Twisted Fate. They get priority and they roam with their ultimates. Twisted Fate is kind of known as like the fireman, and he stops fires in the side lanes. If one of your side lanes is starting to go terrible, he can ult in. But Talia, of course, has the global match. She can just wall herself in there and also be there at the same time. And then we move into this bot lane right now.
Well, yeah, so not only do you have those hyper-mobile mid laners, but that's where they're probably going to spend a lot of their time and focus is into the bot lane, because Volibear, Yorick, let's be honest, they are both beefy bruisers, but really they're not the most exciting people. And how many teleports we saw from both teams last game? I think it was 3 for each side, including one of the ADCs, Tomas, carrying a teleport. Obviously, they're focused more on grouping and fighting, and so now you got not only teleports probably, but also these ultimates to bring everyone to party, most likely in the bottom lane, have some fun around these Drakes, bring everyone in to get a big old barbecue going. So the bot lane, the Jinx Bard, maybe Pupcake doesn't have to roam that much on the Bard, considering that everyone's going to be visiting the bottom lane anyway. So why worry about that? Instead, focus on trying to harass out this Aphelios, especially because in the very, very early game, Aphelios doesn't quite have a ton of damage yet, and so Jinx could get an early edge, shoving Aphelios underneath his turret, where Galio doesn't have quite as safe an opportunity to jump forward, look for an engage or a taunt, considering that Aphelios needs to be spending most of his time clearing minions.
Yeah, as long as Jinx always has rockets, but as long as Aphelios does not have in front of him, his pushing power is severely limited. So it is quite likely that Jinx could have him push in her tower. And I mean, like you said, bot lane's probably going to become the place to be, the hot spot of this match. And with 2 hyperscaling AD carries, if one of them starts to go off on a tear, there's plenty of squishies on either team that they could just start melting through them like butter. If we get a couple items on either of these AD carries, while the other one's going to feel really, really useless. That's just my opinion, my hot take on how this game could possibly go. But I really see a lot of it probably is going to be resting on the mid and junglers here.
Yep, well, we are going to be launching into game here in just a moment. We'll take a quick break and be right back for this game number 2 as you load onto the Summoner's Rift. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2. We had a small pause to make sure that everyone was correctly synced as we get into this game. It's going to be an exciting one because we already have one victory on that top mark for FSU. There's a lot of people that believe in the chat FSU will make it a 2-0, but there are some still strong fans holding out for the Thunderbirds, FGCU. I gotta hear it in chat. If you believe that they can win this game, let the players know through the Twitch chat that you support them. Give us a hashtag FGCU win or a hashtag FSU win if it should be a quick and easy 2-0, as we are in this game with a lot of collapsibility. We talked about the teleports coming out with those ultimates, the Talia, the Galio, the Twisted Fate. We'll check it out from FGCU. Yorick, TF, and the Galio all carrying those teleports, so they're going to be some high movement from FGCU.
Yeah, and I really want to pull some attention into this top lane, because if Doran can really get going, I feel like he can do some really dirty things. But on the flip side, Oranuke, Jaster, and FSU with that Volibear, if Volibear can get a push out onto York and get him under tower, that dive is absolutely deadly between an Echo, a Talia, and a Volibear. You are not surviving that. There is absolutely no way. Same thing that they could do, they could translate that to the bot lane as well. If Gristle can get a push onto Aphelios, the Talia Echo dive is absolutely brutal. So we have to watch for that. They could set up a 4-man gank bot side or potentially a 3-man gank top side, and it would be really, really hard for FGCU to stop. So maybe something to watch for as we move into this game.
Yeah, people don't think too much about the Stormbringer from the Volibear, the fact that it shuts down those turrets. That's literally a free dive. It's basically like there's no turret there at all. So it's so nice once you hit that level 6 to roam into these side lanes and jump underneath that turret, bring everyone to get some extra kills, and especially if it's this bottom lane where you have that squishy Aphelios that's looking really tasty for a giant lightning bear, that might be where it is that they decide to focus. We'll find out, though, as we are into the game. I wanted to comment just for fun on the fact that Oranuke, sorry, let me rephrase this because it is said in Twitch chat. It is Aura Nook. So Oranuke, if I'm not mistaken, Oranuke, in this Talia is using the pool party skin, and so if there's anything that'll shut down an Infernum from Aphelios, a whole bunch of water might be enough for the job.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love the pool party skin. I mean, I love every single pool party skin that Riot has released. There's not one that I hate. So if any of you guys at home want to gift your boy Mitt a skin, just Put me one of them pool party skins. I'll be happy with
Are
that.
you throwing out a small shout out for yourself to get some free skins? Come on now.
As long as it's a pool party skin, you know what I mean? It's just what I like, man. It's got a good aesthetic. Especially pool party rucksack. Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful skin. But anyways, already seeing some smashing in the top lane. Pain is making it happen.
Oh, smashing everywhere. Bot lane and mid lanes. A little skirmish in the bot lane. Mid lane, though. Aura was forced to flash away. The turn of the damage. Now on to Rabidon. The stun card coming out, though. It's going to be enough with the Ignite burning down for Oranuke to pick up that kill. And now Jester chasing in onto the Graves. Ronaldo having to quick draw over the wall with the double buffs just to help clear up the farm and make sure this doesn't get shoved underneath the turret. But a nice first blood for FSU.
Aura on this, picking up the solo kill on the Talia. The pow flash out.
Taunt onto the bottom side bar. Nice magical journey. Boom, boom, boom. They get stunned up. The rockets coming out from Griddlestick, but the Bard has already fallen. The Infernum from the Aphelios. That's what he needed, and he's going to start cooking up Griddlestick as well, putting him on the griddle. He's got the Gravitron for the root, but unfortunately they're not going to dive just yet. Top side, FSU is looking for more blood. Force a flash out of Doran. Echo's chasing in. Doran should go down. The healing from the Corrupting Potion, not enough. And Rabidon comes through with the TP. Don't think he wants to be up here alone. Fortunately for him, Jaster is backing away.
Oh my goodness, we're only 4 minutes in and there's already 3 deaths. This is insane. These two teams are just, you know, not pulling their punches whatsoever. The battle all over the map. FGCU picking up the kill with the Aphelios. I mean, that looked really clean from Pupcake, the escape. But Aphelios, 200 years, you know, just enough damage to squeak it out. But that stun, that magical journey really looked good from Pupcake. But unfortunately, it's just not enough at the end of the day to save him. And then in the top side, we have FSU and Jaster really cranking up the heat. Jaster already getting 2 successful ganks off. One in the mid lane, just putting the pressure on to Rabidon, not killing him, but enabling Oro to get the solo kill. And then in that top lane, getting a really nice gank off onto Doran, setting him behind. I mean, FSU Pain, I'm sorry. He's looking really strong in this top lane on that Volibear. He's putting a lot of pressure on Doran. I mean, Doran really needs to make it to level 6, where I believe he will have a little bit of an edge. But if he's set too far behind when that power spike eventually does come, there's not going to be a whole lot he's able to do. So I would like to see Doran play a little bit more conservatively in these early levels.
Yeah, had to burn the flash to escape, but it's mostly about that mobility of the Echo. He came flying in from the river. Now, it might be that Doran needs to be a little bit more, as you said, conservative when it comes to getting vision down and being able to watch for where it is this Echo is going. Do a better job of tracking him around the map. He is on the bottom side, literally invading onto the Thunderbirds jungle. They're trying to jump in onto Ronaldo. However, a nice little slipping out from the bottom side jungle gets the Graves out to safety, as everyone else from FSU grouping could start up this Wind Drake, but they've left that bottom side open for the Aphelios to really try to grab a lot of farm.
Yeah, TF is still pretty far and away from level 6, and he does not have Prio. Looks like FGCU or FSU are going to be able to take this dragon.
Pupcake finding a stun onto Ronaldo, but they're chasing for. Keep in mind, the Drake is sitting at about 1,200 health. Ronaldo could steal this away. He stole away the Elder Drake last time. They're looking for Jaster. They've killed him. This should be Wind Drake going over to the side of FGCU. And now look at Tomas. He's got damage down to Griddlestick, so keep in mind the backline. Pain TPing in has picked up to the Volibear, eaten a couple of snacks for himself, and Tomas has to back away. He will not be able to 1v4. He has to escape, as Oranuke is going to be looking for that seismic toss. However, Stormbringer will slow him down. The Aphelios falls, and he may be looking to become the president, but he'll be sitting at the fountain for another couple of seconds.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate for FSU. They started the dragon, they had 4 members, they had Prio mid, but Aura is kind of like standing off to the side trying to play bouncer, and so is Pupcake. And that's a lot of damage that is missing from the actual dragon. So we see the dragon fall to about 200 HP. Griddlestick is forced to get out of there. And Jaster's like, well, what the heck am I supposed to do now? As Ronaldo and Sheeta just run in there, manage to take the Drake away. But Volibear with the and kill Jaster. But then FSU Pain able to come in with the teleport, pick up 2 kills for himself, and chase them out. So the gold does end up landing in the favor of Pain, but a dragon goes over to FGCU. So in terms of who wins, who loses that one, I want to give a slight edge over to FSU because they do get 2 kills on that Volibear. It makes them even more of a pain in the butt for that top lane, more of a pressure point there. But the dragon is a nice, you know, equalizer to some degree. It just depends what can they get done with that 10% cooldown reduction.
Yeah, a pain in the butt of the Maiden from this Yorick for sure, because he is just going to be difficult to deal with. Look at him already with that Sheen just smashing damage in. Now, Doran should be able to have a little bit extra heal. You can see not only does he have the corrupting potions, but those biscuits as well. His job is to simply survive and be a nuisance off to the side that forces FSU to send members to respawn. In the game number 1, they love to skirmish, they love to group, they love to fight, but FGCU say game number 2, we're going to try to have a strong side laner that basically forces you to send someone over there. You're not going to be able to group quite as hard. Tomas in trouble, drops that ultimate very early, but I think he's still going to be going down as exhaust slows him. Pupcake found a really nice angle. Tomas is still alive, but finally falls. Oranuke has shown up, and now Shida probably going to fall in the Galio as well. Rabadon ultimates to the bottom lane, but isn't able to make anything happen. It's a 2-for-1 trade.
And there's the foreman that we were talking about. Oranuke and Jast are able to get in there very, very quickly. The Talia ulti causing so much of a headache there for Tomas. He ends up falling there, but I believe he does pick up a kill onto Pupcake, so it's not all lost. They commit 4 resources, and it ends up being a 1-for-2 at the end of the day, I believe. So that's not the worst thing in the world here for FGCU, but it still feels pretty bad if you're not farming as an AD carry.
Ronaldo's feeling really bad. Dropped about a quarter of health. Pain on the chase.
Oh my God.
Though, Stormbreaker coming in. Nice little sidestep from Ronaldo with a quick drop. The TP coming in now from Shida as well. They bursted down the Volibear, taking him out. Rabadon coming in is in a bit of trouble. Gold cards the Talia. Keep in mind, Oranuke doesn't have any mana, so the taunt coming through from Shida might be enough to actually finish her off. The flash running away as Rabadon finds the gold card onto the bar. Pupcake is not the healthiest, so flashes forward, drops the auto. There's the Meep coming in for the actual kill. ADC, one off in the bottom lane. They're still not quite dead just yet. Doran chasing forward, dropping those Mistwalkers, chasing down, finishing off the Talia. Ronaldo incredibly low, gets Jester incredibly low as well, but ends up going down. That looks like Galio Shida gave up chasing down the Bard, instead focusing on pushing this mid lane with that Maiden of Mist.
Yeah, I respect that 100%. I don't think chasing a Bard is ever a judicious play, especially when you can just get the free advantage mid and pushing it. But at the very beginning there, we see Pain getting a little bit antsy, flashes forward, tries to get the ult to finish off Doran, pays for it with his life. Ronaldo picking up that kill, of course. But then all hell breaks loose on every single corner of the map. The AD carries are dueling for some reason. Everybody's fighting in the jungle and the river, and it just becomes a huge mess. Pupcake flashes forward, finishes off Rabadon, and the subsequent fight that ensues in the mid lane just causes even more chaos. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, FSU come out slightly on top with a 1k gold lead for themselves, but Doran is able to start closing out that gold lead and I think establish a little bit of one for himself. Yes, about a 200 gold lead in that top lane when he was down before, but here's again another gank in the mid lane. Oh my goodness.
Magical journey from Pupcake. They're trying to focus down Rabadon. I don't think the TF has anywhere that he can go. Even with the Galio ultimate coming in, he's still going to end up falling. Shida, though, not going to shy away from starting to fight. Finds the taunt onto Pupcake, and Ronaldo is here. They should have enough damage to take down this Bard. Yep, he's nicely executed as Ronaldo picks that one up, but gives assists to most of the rest of his team.
Yeah, that's really nice for FGCU getting the Tempered Fate out and still getting the kill. So good stuff on Ronaldo. I like how even though Rabadon dies and doesn't get to really do anything, he just kind of falls there. And the ult kind of looks like it's wasted, air quotes, by Shida. Shida still isn't afraid to go in there and get the lockdown onto Pupcake to allow Ronaldo to finish that off. I mean, I think there's other cases, if you didn't have as good communication as a team, that Shida backs off there because he forces himself into a 2v1 in that situation for a little bit of a period of time. But he has enough trust in Ronaldo to know that he's going to get in there and finish off the kill. And then the bait out of the Tempered Fate from Pupcake is just icing on the cake. So a good salvage here by FGCU for a mid lane play that generally would go FSU's way.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's kind of salving, right? You're picking up a little bit, salvaging. You're picking up what was left over from the play and really trying to make something happen. But you're seeing from the side of FGCU that the Galio is able to respond to the Bard roaming around the map. Maybe not quite as quickly, but still has some sort of response, which is why the ADCs end up kind of being left alone in those 1v1s we saw earlier, having a bit of a duel. Nice use of those snares from the Jinx to kind of section off that area of the jungle. So Galio unable to get through means that it is Drake to FSU, their first Drake of the game, but Rift Herald spawned at the top lane, secures first turret for the Thunderbirds.
You know, and one thing I want to notice about this game is that every single player in this game seems to know how to exert pressure, right? Everybody here seems to know how to pressure, attack, push, whatever. but it doesn't seem like we're seeing a lot of absorption of pressure, right? If somebody makes a play, somebody is going to die, right? We've never seen somebody be like, oh, I know this is coming, I'm going to waste your time with this roam and allow the other side of my map to get objectives right now, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, Ronaldo going golden with a stopwatch, but he's just setting himself up for the seismic shove from Oranuke and just immediately goes down. So an 0-4 TF does not feel good if you're the side of FGCU. But as you said, you know, because, hey, if no one is absorbing pressure and everyone is just diving, those kind of crazy and skirmish-heavy games can mean that you can catch the really valuable members of the enemy team out, like this Jinx, who currently 2-0-2 with 150 gold bounty on her head, might be someone that you can section off with a Gravitrum from Tomas and pick off.
Yeah, for sure. And if you get that shutdown, that's gotta feel really nice. I mean, right now it's looking like Doran and Tomas are gonna have to carry this one. And unfortunately, Tomas is actually down a pretty substantial margin of CS right now. But he does pick up that shutdown. He's gonna be back in this one. But Doran's looking really good right now, up about 14 CS. He's got a 200 gold shutdown. He's finished that Triforce, pretty big power spike, and has already dropped that top tower. That's just the power of York split push. And Pain is having a little bit of an issue trying to figure out how do I deal with this guy. You know, as long as the Maiden is up, the percent HP damage is nothing to scoff at by any means. But moving more towards the mid lane and Oranuke, who's just putting on a real show with this Taliyah, he's looking very, very good on it. I'm surprised that it made it through draft. I mean, he's played so much Taliyah, and Taliyah is really a staple in competitive play. Maybe not in the current meta, but she always has like a slot, you know what I mean? She's got a really good push, she's got really good skirmish, she's got a bit of a semi-global pressure as well. So she fills a lot of roles and makes her very versatile when it comes to team comps. And any player that can add her to their champ pool is going to find a very versatile champion that can be used in a lot of different team comps.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, we do see a small fight again as Galio is able to find 2 with the taunt. Is that enough for FGCU to actually find their first true teamfight victory? They've burned a lot of flashes, even the TP coming in from Pain. I love this from FGCU. This is the first time they initiate a fight and then back away. They say, we don't need to kill you. We just needed to draw your top laner in, burn that teleport. Now Doran is close to taking this top lane turret. Should be able to maybe even get it down before Pain is able to respond.
Yeah, he's actually in a little bit of trouble here because he does not have the Maiden, so the edge slightly might go over here to Pain, and he's going to have to run for his life right now. Run, boy, run, Doran, because it is not quite over yet, but Flash is going to get him safety.
Yep, so still flash burn for that TP that Pain burned earlier, but Doran should have his TP up here in a little bit. So FGCU able to kind of stall out this game, slow it down just a little bit. You can see I haven't had a fight in the last couple of minutes because most of the Thunderbirds are just farming and then backing up, farming and backing up. And the one fight that they started was just to burn a little bit. Hey, I'm getting a bit of deja vu because Pupcake's coming back into the mid lane with this magical journey, a seismic shove, and that is a dead Twisted Fate for a 5th time this game.
Yeah, so I like what you were talking about earlier. You know, when Doran gets that tier 2 tower, which is really huge, actually. It was a little dicey. There has to burn his flash to get up. But anyways, let's talk about the beginning of that fight. What enables Doran to go and do that? And that is the teleport coming through from Pain. He wants to fight. You know what I mean? The story of these 2 games have been we fight every single time, right? But then FGCU are like, wait a second. We don't need to fight. Let's just not fight. Let's just walk away and let Doran do whatever he wants. So the TP looks pretty silly as Pain has to kind of saunter on top and then put the pressure onto Doran. And Doran's able to pick up a tier 2 tower right there. So that's what I was talking about when it comes to absorbing pressure. And FGCU did an excellent job of that. But unfortunately, Rabadon gets caught out again by another mystical journey. Ooh. He really needs to be more aware of his course position.
Into the bot lane. Oranuke coming in, but misses a lot of the spells. Literally, this is pretty much every single thing. That means there is a huge amount of pain from FSU that has already been spent, and both teams are collecting around this Mountain Drake. 20 seconds on it to spawn. Oranuke has to flash away, but Rabadon is here with a gold card. They've been able to lock up Taliyah. Can they actually find the kill? They do! It's Ronaldo, that picks it up. Shida may fall, but was just tanking long enough to burn that Echo ultimate as well. Gravitum from Tomas is really good, but unfortunately he's stuck by himself. Ronaldo trying to deal enough damage. Pupcake coming around from the side, not dead just yet. Tomas, you are alone. Do you have what it takes? He's got the Gravitrum, but those rockets from the Jinx are too much to handle with. But here comes Pacific coming around from the side. Pain's underneath 100 health. There's an auto attack from Rabadon to finish him up, and Doran's TP'd in. He's brought the Maiden. This could be FGCU winning the fight. It's a 3-for-4 trade, and they go for the Drake.
Doran says it's split push time, but as soon as he gets the tower, he's like, all right, I'm coming in and I'm bringing the shovel, and he digs some graves right there, right in front of the dragon. Beautiful stuff. Gets the shutdown off on the Jinx. She was 3-0 at that time, so that is beautiful stuff for Mr. Doran right here, and he's 3-1, picks up the dragon, and is looking to push down mid tower. Doran is becoming a huge thorn in the side here for FSU in their hopes of taking this in a 2-0.
Yep, it's beautifully done from FGCU because they burned so many spells that Talia had almost nothing in the tank when they actually caught her. Okay, just don't look, everyone. Blink really long, and it's done and it's over with. It's not that big of a deal. These things do happen, you know, it's fine.
He's going to have the gargles anyway soon. He was just like, you know what? I'm going to get it on my next recall. I'm just going to pop this thing.
Well, it still might actually hurt as they're looking to fight around the second Rift Herald. Keep in mind, we're still pretty early on to this game, only 18 minutes in, and that could be the key that Shida needed to actually survive this next engage, as it seems they're backing away from the Rift Herald, instead going to approach that mid lane, maybe try to shove it out or go for that first turret, waiting to find a pick. Again, you got to burn some of these spells from FSU before you go in for the actual kill.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, FSU, even though they did lose that last fight, Aura Nuke is still very deadly, and here's a Tempered Fate coming through.
Again, big summoner spell whiff from FSU. This is twice now that their members have thrown out these spells looking to engage and start something and have completely missed them. But it's enough for the Thunderbirds to back away, recall. They want to buy with the gold that they've recently got. And they may end up just giving this Rift Herald to FSU, saying, hey, we're not going to worry too much about that. That's fine. You get one Rift. We can survive it.
Yeah, I definitely think they do want to get that Rift Herald. Just give it over. It's fine. Whatever. And they need to start setting up that 4-1. And when they're setting up this 4-1, they need their 4. The 4 doesn't need to be pressuring. Doran is creating plenty of pressure. They need to be absorbing pressure. They need to be a nuisance. They need to maybe push out when they see 3 members, because Doran can take 2 by himself at this point. He's a very, very big York in the side lane. But if the 4 pressures too hard for FGCU, they're going to get collapsed on with a Tempered Fate with the Weaver's Wall, and they're not going to be able to get out of that. So if FGCU wants to make this comeback happen, they're going to have to play very measured, very calculated. They're going to have to play for vision, but they can't go too deep for the vision, right? It's a tightrope, very, very tight situation for FGCU. If they move just a little too much, they slip off, and they can lose all the progress that they've made so far.
Very narrow margin for success, but they might be able to pull it off. I do like the fact that this Twisted Fate in the mid lane, because he knows he's died so many times, picks up the Rod of Ages to try to give himself a little bit more health. Seems like FGCU are happy to leave this mid lane turret to fall, saying, hey, you know what? We already have 3 turrets. That was literally FSU's first turret this entire game, and they're just going to go ahead and let that one go over. And again, not get too excited, not get too crazy, just let it drop, and then push out the mid lane a little bit. They might be trying to start an engagement here, looking to jump onto the Jinx. She doesn't have the defense there. Galio coming in for his 2-man taunt. The ultimates are out from 2 members. Unfortunately, the Aphelios ultimate is going to whiff. Tempered Fate from the Bard locks himself up. Talia's coming in, drops the Weaver's Wall, hops the other side, nuking down the Aphelios. 200 years is going to fall. Ronaldo trying to heal underneath the turret. 1-0 attack away from taking Brutal 6 down. Doesn't get it. Rabadon throws out the golden card, just locking up Oranuke in the top lane. Dorans is pushing because Pain could not join the team, but FSU's 4 members win it out after a very scuffed dive from FGCU.
Yeah, Ronaldo, why? He saw his chance to maybe pick off Crystal Stick, but he goes way too deep for it. Weaver's Wall comes through Tempered Fate, and he's all of a sudden in a terrible, terrible position, and Tomas gets dragged along for the ride. You know, if you're Doran, he had so much pressure in that top lane. If they just set up the siege mid and not get too antsy, he could have gotten so much work done, or at least pulled people. But as soon as they're dead and that pressure evaporates from the map, Doran has to back off before he's able to get that inhib tower, which is really unfortunate. You know, they were starting to get it. They were starting to absorb the pressure, but Ronaldo just very, very antsy on this Graves. He feels the need to make something happen and gets his hands smacked away from the cookie jar very, very quickly.
Yep, and it was a good, decent attempt at a dive, but again, they have to burn out those ultimates from FSU. Guess what FSU had for that fight? They had the Temper Fate from the Bard. They had the Weaver's Wall from the Talia. They had the Super Mega Death Rocket from the Jinx. They had all of these big ultimates up, and FGCU ended up falling right into them. Now, it's not the end of the world. The fight, they only lost, I think, a 3-for-1 was what it ended up being. So It wasn't the worst case scenario, but where they originally had had 1,000 gold. We're pushing about a 2,000 gold lead, so starting to make steps in the direction of taking over the game. They've now basically evened up the gold through that play as both teams are grouping around this next Mountain Drake. It could put FGCU at sole point if they're able to actually grab it, but all 5 members of FSU are here.
Yeah, that's true that the gold differential has basically been equalized out, but if you look at who it landed on Grizzlestick, it landed on that Jinx. She has now got an Eye and a Ruinous Hurricane, and we all know what that looks like in a team fight. So FGC are going to have to be very, very careful this next one, which is breaking out right now.
Yep, Weaver's Wall from Talia, locking out a couple of members of FGCU. They're trying to burn down the Mountain Drake. FSU looking to pick it up. Ronaldo's onto the back of the pit, decides not to actually engage, just throwing out that ultimate, hoping that he might be able to steal it away, but a little bit too late. And FGCU are just going to kind of back away. Wait, no, they're actually turning this and going straight back in, trying to cancel these recalls because Doran has been able to pick up an inhibitor turret. He's looking for the inhibitor as well. Only Pain is there to respond. The ultimates are trying to be canceled. Ultimate from Shida as well, just to try to slow the members of FSU recalling. Top lane inhibitor goes the way of the Thunderbirds.
Doran, you absolute unit. I mean, that's a pretty big pickup of an inhib, but what do they do with this inhib? This inhib creates pressure, right? So Doran actually needs to like reset right now and start running down bot lane to open up mid lane DC. Okay, but anyways, let me keep going. Doran needs to reset right now. He needs to go bot lane. He needs to start pressuring that tier 2 tower, and then they need to shift. FGCU needs to shift their 4-man presence into this mid lane Baron control. They need to shift all their vision to the top side of the jungle, and they need to start getting this Baron control. Doran but they can't start the Baron, right? They just need to start absorbing pressure around the Baron. They need to be very cognizant of Tempered Fate's cooldown. They need to be very cognizant of Weaver's Wall cooldown, because those are 2 major abilities that can lock them out of position and really screw up what Doran wants to do in this bot lane, which is get the super huge split push off, then get that bot lane inhibitor. If Doran is able to get that bot lane inhibitor relatively uncontested, or at least pull 2 to 3 members to him, then maybe FGCU can go ahead and go make a play for the Baron. And make it happen. But really, Doran wants to get this bot lane inhibitor. If that bot lane inhibitor goes down, now he's free to group up, maybe push down mid, get that tier 1 down so they can move their vision line nice enough for that Baron, and then start making a Baron play. So the path is laid out here for FGCU, and they are already getting the resets off, but this opens a timing window for Baron, which FSU are trying to exploit right now. Oh my god, there's so much going on. I'm getting super nerd chills.
No, it's awesome. FSU Garnet immediately run for Baron after the pause. That's something to keep in mind. When it comes to the pause, both teams get a chance to kind of sit and discuss for a moment what it is they actually want to do when the pause gets canceled. And FSU say, hey, everyone from the side of FGCU is recalling. Let's take our chance and run for the Baron. They're straight on there. Tomas is there. He's got the vision. Throws out the ultimate.
Oh my god.
He's going to be able to burn it. Are you kidding me? Ronaldo steals away the Baron. But this could be FSU getting completely wiped. Tomas has the caliber. He's destroying everyone. Excuse me. It doesn't even matter what gun it has. It's a near ace for the Thunderbirds as they clap down on Garnet, who way over pushed unnecessarily. Pings to push top, pings to push mid. They're gonna go straight for the turret. Let the Galio tank it up as they're looking to get as much as possible with this Baron buff.
Tomas? Tomas? What? No! Why are you doing that? But anyways, regardless, ignoring that for a second, the timing is so tight to get that Baron steal off. And this is the second major global objective that Ronaldo has been barely able to steal. If there's one thing Ronaldo's good at, it's stealing objectives. This man is an absolute unit, and it's all off of the back of Doran and creating pressure on that site. So like I was saying, during that pause, you know, they want to get the resets off. FSU knows the FGC. They want to reset. They want to set up the split push. They want to make it happen, right? And they realize, wait, we've got a timing window here where they're all going to reset that we can maybe take the Baron. And they just barely don't have enough damage. Tomas gets there first. Ult has the what's the Calibrum, right? Has the Calibrum ult, gets a ton of damage down, forces Jaster to ulti to keep himself alive, and while he's ulted, Ronaldo's able to come over the wall, ulti smite, steal the Baron, and the subsequent team fight just goes to absolute hell in a handbasket as Doran is able to get a TP in the back line, just digging graves, like Jinx goes down, everybody's going down to Doran, and then they make the push mid. If Tomas had not died to that tower just due to some, like, I don't know, greedy naked push, probably could have gotten maybe inhib tower, but they get here. Yeah, they do get
Yeah,
tier
they got
2.
tier 2. Yeah, it was a good solid push regardless. I think they might have backed away. This is an interesting start of the fight for the side of FSU. The Tempered Fate locking on 2, but they are kind of the front line. The Galio forced to flash away. Oh, the Justice Punch gets stopped. Nice little stand in front of it. I think Pup Kick was the one who really canceled it. Doran immediately recognizing that, hey, I'm in danger, as he chuckles and tries to back away. The Weavers welcoming out from Talia, but actually cancels it, realizing they're not going to catch that Yorick in time. So Doran should be able to escape. And I like FSU Garnet's aggression in this situation, knowing they are on a timer. They have super minions pushing the top side. FGCU still has that Baron buff. They don't want them to actually reach one of these other turrets. So all they're doing is basically feinting, saying, hey, we're going to push you back up to your own turret line and then recall, wait for that Baron buff to fall off before we actually try to fight. But I think Pup Cake is caught out, forced to flash. Doran had flash up as well, but decided not to use it. Just happy to get that support's flash off.
Yeah, I don't think flashing for a support is worth it if you're Doran, especially when your side lane pressure is so important. And if your flash is down, you're going to be able to get picked out a lot easier. It's better to use that flash to get away from a gank in that bot lane when you go for your split push. But Doran almost able to get another inhib turret down right now, but we can see that the pressure has completely flip-flopped to the side of FGCU. Even though FSU gets two really good picks in the mid lane, they have nothing to show for it when it's all said and done. All they've really done is make Doran back off for a little bit. So they bought themselves a little bit of time, and what are they going to do with that time? Setting up here for the third Drake of the game. Whew. Getting ready for the team fight.
It's getting really crazy because we're at the 27-minute mark, close to the 28. A team fight could spell the end of the game if it goes one direction, and goodbye Echo caught out. Great Justice Punch from Shida, and that means that the Thunderbirds have been able to pick off one. They can go for the Drake. Keep in mind, this is not Soul, or this is Soul Point. This is not actually Dragon Soul yet, so there's still some time in this game for Garnet to come back. The top lane inhibitor will be respawning in the not-too-distant future. A little bit of a sight check there as the Super Mega Death Rocket from the Jinx comes out, but keep in mind these ultimates, when they are used, means that they won't be up if another skirmish gets started, and the Thunderbirds just grab the Drake, a little bit more resistances for themselves, and then back away, prepping vision around the Baron. It's got 2 minutes before it respawns.
I don't like this reset. I'm going to be real with you right now, Jake. They had a power play. They had one member down. They had Doran already postured in the bot lane. Maybe some major buys had to come out. That is the only reason why I see that you would really want to recall here. Otherwise, you should be pressuring on the map probably. But they decided to go for the recall. Maybe there was a major buy that came through. Somebody absolutely needed an item, and then, yeah, that's going to be okay if you're going to come back stronger and be able to take the next fight over even stronger than this one. But generally speaking, when you have a man down, you've gotten a pick like that, it's better to go for the pressure while you have that available to you.
Yep. So there is still some time, but FGCU 5,000 gold in the lead. They still have that incredibly strong Yorick in that side lane. Look at his items. He actually literally picked up the Death Dance to add that extra damage in. The healing coming through as well. The Grace is able to pick it up. Much more successful this game for Ronaldo. And again, stealing away these buffs, these giant neutral objectives have just been huge for him. They have Doran still pushing on the bottom side. They could swap him to top to grab the open inhibitor that has respawn. FSU Garnet have a little bit of breathing room with that slow pushing top wave and time to be able to get some control wards down in their own jungle, get a little bit of vision, and maybe fight for this next Baron.
Yeah, this Baron's going to be a really tough fight. Pain is relegated to stopping Doran duty, which is going to be very hard for him to do. Doran's got, of course, 3 items finished. 3.5 actually. 2 Pain's 2.5 and a half. Which isn't really fully combined, but he's probably just going to be able to walk right past and get this tower here.
Ooh, Doran! Okay, alright. Some of the lightning coming out from Pain. He hasn't dropped the ultimate yet, just letting the Maiden of the Mist kind of siphon away some of that health as the positioning for FGCU going to be around the top side. Redemption from the Bard actually being used to scout. I like that. Weaver's Wall coming into the bot lane. Great flash from Doran, but I think he may still end up going down. He's currently 1v2, trying to survive as long as possible. Look at the healing coming through, but it's not enough to stop Pain from Pain himself. But that means Baron started up by the side of the Thunderbirds. The Tempered Fate going to be slowing down that objective as they're trying to find the taunt. Nice nice from Thomas, picking up another kill. He's gonna get snared up though. Payne's TP'd in, but the nice Justice Punch from Galio, canceling this, drops the ultimate. No, the super mega death rocket from Crystal Stick will shut the Aphelios down, send him back to the fountain. The taunt onto the bar. They've got the knockup as well, but Galio has fallen. The tanks are down. What is this ultimate from Twisted Fate? He just gets eaten by the Jinx, and now the Talia and the Jinx still alive. 2 members for FSU. They're not going to try to anything fancy with the Baron, and instead just save those lanes.
Yeah, really scrappy fight there. I mean, Doran does fall to the 2v1. He puts up a valiant effort, but isn't able to do it at the end of the day. Tomas, unfortunately, falling to the Mega Death Rocket, lets the Jinx get up in there. Oranuke is, of course, ready to make it happen. And Rabadon, with a very questionable ulti there on the tail end of the fight, just kind of teleports to his doom, but it does buy Ronaldo the chance to escape. But, okay, so one thing that I want to talk about. That whole play kind of happens because Doran dies in the bot lane. They commit Oranuke to the bot lane. They say, okay, we need to kill this. We need to kill Doran. We can't let this keep happening. Stops, and then when Doran is dead, basically stops the Baron play, right? Doran needs to be able to exert pressure, but not die for it. He almost killed Payne in the 1v1, and if he had finished off Payne, I believe he could have turned and finished off Oranuke as well. And one thing that I think that Doran might want to invest into is a Blade of the Ruined King, because then he's doing even more % HP damage to this Payne, who has actually built a Wit's End for more MR, which I'm not too sure about there. The only real magic damage on the side of FGCU is the Twisted Fate, of course. But 3 members are already... 4 members.
Yeah, Doran might be dead again. Doesn't have his flash available, and he's caught in the side lane, getting way too greedy. FGCU gonna ping once again immediately to go onto the Baron. But keep in mind, the last time that they tried this, it went to disaster because the Tempered Fate from Bard basically canceled that Baron push. And I don't think they're gonna get there in time. The Redemption comes down from the Bard to get a little bit of vision. Weaver's Wall from the Talia to slip up into the top lane. And again, the Baron only getting to half health before the Tempered Fate comes through. But Twisted Fate, Rabadon going straight into the top lane, trying to take down this inhibitor. If they're able to get it and stop the recalls from FSU, that would be at least one other objective, going back the way of the Thunderbirds as they're continuing to try to play this teeter-totter game, getting these objectives, backing away, and trying to get FSU to make a mistake. Rabadon going to be in trouble. Does he have the flash available? He does, hops over the wall and escapes after a nice gold card to lock up the Talia.
Well, looks like FSU are starting up the Dragon right now. Lots of objectives happening all over the map. Split-second decisions are being made. Rabadon, of course, ulting and picking up the inhibitor. Doran falls to a big 4-man, but the team wasn't in position, so Doran just a little too far forward before his team was really ready to start taking the Baron. Baron gets stopped, of course, by the Tempered Fate, but, you know, Rabadon able to still pick up that inhibitor. And then he is forced to burn his flash to escape on the tail end of that one, but that is fine. Looks like they're going to be setting up again this time. They are ready to do the Baron as soon as they see a full commitment to Doran. Doran ready to go through. They cannot start this Baron up until Doran is really knocking on the door. Otherwise, they're just going to get 4v5'd and then...
Yeah, the Thunderbirds are in a position to potentially win this game, but they have to win this next fight. Doran cannot be caught out. Great sidestep from Shida to avoid the Temper Fate. Still slowed down by the zap from Jinx. Tries to Justice Punch out, but goes down. Gargoyle Stone Plate means nothing to this late game fight from FSU. They're trying to look for Tomas, and I think they've been able to take him down. The Aphelios will drop. This could be disaster for the Thunderbirds. In the bot lane, Payne and Doran having a 1v1 once again. The Maiden in the Mist is out, but FSU are still playing around this Drake. They're half on it and half not. Bard goes down, should be following. Magical Journey being followed by Ronaldo. He picks him up, but dashes straight into the trap claws from the Jinx. He's in trouble. Sidesteps off to the side. He gets the shutdown on Echo. Are you kidding me? Dor gets the bottom side turret. He will fall, but at least he's been able to keep Payne out of the fight for long enough. Rabadon being on the chase drops the ultimate, avoids the super mega death rocket by slipping his way out with the Destiny. Baron still goes to neither team, but FGCU have been able to crack the bottom side inhibitor turret.
These fights are just absolute chaos. The map has devolved into a state of, you know, it's like a chain, a domino effect, right? We see one slight misposition from somebody, one ultimate get used, one person step a little too far forward, and then we see this immediate domino of a Baron gets started up. Okay, if I get started up, well, if he's gonna fight over there, I need to start fighting down here and keep him off the tower, and then I need to teleport over here and take this objective and go here, and I need to do all this, and it's just an absolute chaotic spree of everyone trying to make the best decision that they possibly can in the time. There's no way that you can fully predict every single move that's going to happen once somebody pulls the trigger, you know, Baron is such a pressure point. This open inhib bot is such a pressure point. And this lane, this inhib down in the top lane, this pressure point that's already created top is another issue that FSU have to deal with. So there's so many balls that FSU are having to juggle, and if they drop even one of them, the situation just gets much, much worse for them.
Oh, yeah, it's actually credit to them that they've been able to hold this game with all the juggling of all those balls so well so far. Now, finally, the Baron going to get started up again. Bard should be in position to drop the Redemption. No, it's on cooldown. There it is. Okay, it's on cooldown because he just dropped it. Catches sight of it. But that actually meant that the Thunderbirds backed away. I don't know there was full vision. I guess they could see the Baron at half health, so they knew that at least was started up. But backing away, they now have Rabadon in the bottom lane, split pushing there to let Doran split pushing the top side. So they're splitting up the map into a 1-3-1. But here's the crazy part, the incredibly exciting thing. If the Thunderbirds find success in this game, where the game is literally sitting on a knife's edge, 3 dragons to both teams, 67,000 gold to each of them at the nearly 40-minute mark. This is only game 2. We could go to a game 3 after this if the Thunderbirds find success, but Shida might be being shut down. Gargoyle's Stone play very early, but keep in mind, a lot of these abilities are being dropped very early, and they're not finding anyone with it. Tomas comes up, the Bard is gone. Ronaldo hops over the wall, the Winds of War slowing people down. Here comes the ultimate as well. Jaster's been knocked up. The ultimate from the Volibear means almost nothing because he's hitting the tank. Grizzle is actually around the wall, throwing out the zap. It's not enough. Shida should fall. His Pain is chasing him down. The Justice Punch will not stop his death. Griddle trying to flash. Doran still chasing, but I think that Gatling gun might be enough. They've been able to get and pop Ronaldo's GA. They take him down as well, and it is a delayed ace for FSU Garnet.
Fancy footwork from Gristle keeps him in the fight way, way longer than he should be, and some nice moves from Oro keeping him alive. Good stuff. But at the very beginning of that fight, we saw the magical journey, and you know, we saw Bard kind of standing in front of it. Pupcake wasn't able to go through, and that's because he was being creep blocked by Doran's ghouls. You know, they were actually standing in the way of the mystical journey, so he couldn't get out. He just has to stand there and kind of accept his fate as Doran comes through with the shovel. Really unlucky stuff for Pupcake, but the subsequent fight goes very, very well for FSU. They finally pick themselves up a Baron. They can unlock this map, finally move out, stop playing so defensively. With both inhib spawn and a Baron up, they can start moving out, getting pressure around this dragon, maybe pick up the soul, finally pick up the spot lane tower, and actually be the aggressors for the first time in what seems like a good 20 minutes.
All right, I don't care what anyone says about the winners of this game. The true winner is Tomas as president. I gotta shout it out very quickly. We hit 100 live viewers that has been screenshot and noted. That means we will be getting a Tomas emote for the Discord. We'll talk about teams after the games on how to be able to get that to happen. But regardless of even if the Thunderbirds end up losing this game and FSU take the victory, it's still a victory to have a Tomas emote on the official XLNC community Discord. That is huge. But nice Temper Fate. It's only going to really lock up the Galio as all the members of FGCU are trying to back away. Doran's pushing the top lane, but it may be just way too late. Look how slow he is. He's so far away from that inhibitor. He's got a long ways to go as the Baron minions are immediately taking down this bot side turret. The ultimate out from the Aphelios trying to slow things down, but the turret has fallen. They're straight onto the inhibitor as well. Oranuke is on the front line, burning it down. They've taken it out, so inhibitor on the top side, trying to be pushed by Pain, but trying to be pushed by Doran, but Pain is there to slow it down. Inhibitors dropping bottom and mid side. FSU Garnet are on a rampage. They have taken 4 turrets and 2 inhibitors, plus the Mountain Soul in one single push.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't like the fact that Doran is in his bot lane right now. You cannot outpush Baron, but he's trying anyways. He's going to turn around and reset here, it looks like, as the reset is going to come through from FSU. But they do pick up 2 inhibs for themselves. That's going to unlock a lot of pressure here. Let's see, when is the next Baron's not going to spawn for another 3 minutes, so the inhibs will be up when that goes. So what does FSU do with this pressure? Their really only option is to push out this top lane and just really start to slowly close in around FSU. You know, this is so unfortunate because FGCU, they were in the driver's seat for the longest time. They were exerting the pressure. And with one play that goes awry, they instantly lose all that. And they're suddenly on the back foot playing, having to play so defensively, in Doran in a bit of trouble here in this top lane.
Yeah, I don't get what happened, but we're going to have to talk about the fight on top side because Doran is caught out. This is not your territory when you don't have vision. And the rotation from FSU Garnet, I don't know what happened between that last or before the last Dragon take, but something changed. They were tired of playing around. They said, we are at a 40-minute game. We want this game to be over. We want to go 2-0 in our first series in the Heavy League. We just are going to shut this game down, and they are doing it now. They find the stun onto Ronaldo. The quick draw not going to save him because straight in goes the ultimate from Volibear. He's going to be dropping the Thunderdome. Shider trying to find some knockups on the enemy tank, but Pain doesn't care. He says, I'm here to absorb the pain and let my team deal the damage to the rest of you. Everyone else from the Thunderbirds having to back away, get onto the fountain, try to re-heal up. It's a 5v4 with super minions pushing in every single wave, and FSU Garnet do not care. They shut down the Nexus turrets. They're looking for more kills. They take down Ronaldo. Cupcake flashing away from Rabadon because the Twisted Fate has nothing left in the tank to try to throw out the damage. Where is he ulting? I don't even know. It's just flashy to end the game. FSU go 2-0, but before you leave, we have multiple games set up for a third game. These are other teams that have already gone 1-1. We are picking one of them to broadcast as our third game tonight. So we still have a third game, but it will be between two other teams. So don't go anywhere. We got more action coming right up. But this particular series, FSU Garnet will take the victory after an unbelievably hard-fought game by FGCU. And the tenacity from this team to continue to push and push and push through most of the game was absolutely incredible to watch, especially when in the early game it felt like they were just continuing to fall further and further behind. But Ronaldo's steals on these big objectives have saved this team so many times.
Yeah, I mean, FGCU, they were in the driver's seat there. They got a huge pressure point with Doran, but unfortunately, they weren't able to execute the split push effectively. Might be something that they need to go back and practice if they really want to play that style of composition. Also, maybe look for a draft that is more supportive of that. I like the Graves, I like the Twisted Fate, and I like the Galio for that. But unfortunately, Tomas was kind of left a little bit exposed in a lot of those fights. Oranuke putting on a super huge performance. I mean, he looked absolutely amazing on the Talia, doing so much. And Gristlestick, once he actually got those kills going and was able to get the train going, his kiting was phenomenal. Good stuff from Gristlestick as well. But man, oh my gosh, what a 40-minute slugfest for these guys. And we still have one more game for you guys tonight, so don't go anywhere. It is going to be hype, because we still got one more for the Heavy XLNC, Heavy Testing Grounds, Heavy League. Oh my gosh, I'm excited, Jake. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Yep, it's super exciting. Either way, we're going to take a quick break, but man, oh man, we've got more action. We're going to be right back after just a short break for the analyst desk to break down this game and then set up for the next game. We're trying to decide right now between Booyah and Akuma Glaives or TPG Flare versus Glacial. If you know any of these teams and have any idea of which team you want casted, Booyah versus Akuma, or TPG Flare versus Glacial Tempest, let us know in the Twitch chat which team you're wanting us to broadcast, and we'll take that into our consideration when we're looking at which of these two games, this third game in the best of three between one of these two teams. We'll pick one of them in just a moment. We'll be right back after this intermission.